Some stories don't begin in this lifetime. They begin in the spaces between. Olive thought her healing was complete until the dreams returned. A woman in a gray cloak, a name she didn't know but felt, Elia. And then came the eyes, the one she feared, the one she knew. In a forgotten life, she ran from the shadow. In this one, she faces it. Pain rises, memory awakens, but this time she chooses something different. To remember, to forgive, to bring light even to the darkest soul. Whispers between lives, a story of healing, of remembrance, and of light that never truly fades. Coming soon in the Reiki Light.
Time passes, like wind brushing through tree branches, soft, silent, and without warning. After her deep healing journey, Olive returned. She wasn't the broken girl she once was. She was whole, clear, gentle. She chose to become a teacher, a bringer of light through colors, words, and soft lessons like clouds drifting in the sky. Palmer had changed too. He stepped away from Melbourne, diving deep into Reiki and energy healing. When he returned, he opened a small Reiki center, a space of stillness and warmth, where light found its own way. And one day, destiny touched them both. Gently. Olive's class was visiting the hospital to learn gratitude by meeting those who were healing. Laughter echoed in the halls. Drawings and smiles passed from tiny hands to tired ones. That very day, Palmer's Reiki volunteers were there too. And as Olive walked the hallway, she saw him. They didn't speak. Not at first. They didn't need to. Her eyes paused on him. His heart skipped a beat. And so, they began again. No rush. Just shared tea after class. Stories of students. And little joys of everyday life. Until one day, Olive said, "I don't know what love is. But ever since I was healed, I keep seeing you. Still there. Inside me." They didn't marry to fill a void. They were already whole. They chose to share their light. The wedding took place in the Reiki garden. Simple. Sunlight. Petals. Healers. Children's laughter. And two pairs of eyes shining with something ancient and familiar. Olive's family cried. Not from pain, but joy. And Palmer just held her hand. No words. Because they both knew. This wasn't the beginning, nor the end, but a continuation of a light finally finding its home. Three months had passed since Olive and Palmer became one under the sun and petals. Their little home was kissed by morning light, plants hanging on the porch, wind chimes whispering in the breeze, and an old wooden table where tea and silence were shared. Life was gentle, unhurried, unpolished, but perfectly whole. By day, Olive taught her bright-eyed students. By night, Palmer guided healing with Reiki and quiet breath. Some evenings, Olive would sit still, tea in hand, watching him prepare his Sunday circle. She smiled and said, "It's strange. We don't even speak. And yet I feel happy." Palmer smiled back. "Because your heart is still. And when the heart is still, happiness doesn't need much." But then, the dreams began. Not nightmares. Not pleasant dreams either. Just strange. She saw herself walking barefoot down a dirt path. Stone walls on both sides, covered in old vines. And at the end, a woman, cloaked in ash gray, back turned. Silent. Still. When Olive stepped closer, the woman turned, but her face was smoke. Each time she woke, the dream faded, yet something inside her chest felt like a string had just been pulled. The dream came again, and again. Each time, the woman was closer, and the last time, she whispered something, too soft to catch. Only one word remained: return. One cloudy afternoon, Olive sat with Palmer, hand on her heart, gaze distant. "I don't know why, but it feels like that dream wasn't a dream. It was a memory I never remembered." Palmer said nothing. He simply poured more tea and softly said, "When the soul is finally at peace, sometimes it begins to tell the story that came before." That night, Olive sat on her meditation mat. Palmer placed a hand on her shoulder. Not to lead, only to hold space. And within the silence, Olive sank deeper, deeper, to the place where the old woman waited, and the door began to open.
The space was quiet, still like a lake at sunrise. Palmer sat beside Olive, saying nothing, only holding space, like an invisible arm sheltering her soul. Olive closed her eyes. Her breath slowed, her body softened, and then she was no longer in the room. She stood in a cold stone chamber. Thin beams of golden light slipped through the cracks in the wall. The air was thick with the scent of incense and ashes. An old wooden chair, a wrinkled hand resting gently on her head. A woman's voice, low and soft, spoke in a strange language, but Olive's heart understood. Every wound is an unfulfilled vow. Then it happened. Olive saw herself as someone else. Not her, but still her. A young woman, hair tied back, wearing rough linen, standing by a village well, arms holding a bundle of herbs. And then a name floated in the wind. Elia. Was that her? A jolt passed through her chest, and like waves crashing on stone, the memories returned. An ancient village, a mother sick in bed, a neighbor whose eyes darkened each time he passed, a stormy night, feet running through mud, a curse screamed in rage. The pieces didn't all connect, but they were real. When Olive opened her eyes, she didn't cry. She simply whispered, "I once had another name." Palmer sat quietly listening. Olive placed her hand over her heart. "Elia, she's still here. I'm not afraid. I just feel tenderness." Palmer took her hand, not to comfort, just to connect. "Compassion is the beginning of healing," he said. "We'll continue when you're ready." That night, Olive wrote in her journal, "I don't know who Elia is, but I know she's never truly been heard. And maybe what I need to do is become the first to hear her voice." In a small room filled with the scent of orange and ginger, Palmer sat close to Olive, his hands gently hovering near her heart, like holding a delicate thread between lifetimes. Olive had already sunk into deep breath, still, calm, and then she was no longer Olive. She was Elia, 17, a village girl, living near the forest edge. The air was still, leaves falling gently, the world slowing like an old lullaby. Elia passed the village well and saw him, a man under the tree, holding a half-carved piece of wood, wearing a dark brown cloak, hair tied back. He didn't smile. He just looked at her, his eyes deep, still, like a dry well waiting for rain. Elia felt a chill, not fear, but something older, familiar. She didn't know his name, but villagers whispered of him, the one on the edge, a loner, always quiet, always watching. Then another memory, Elia falling while picking herbs. That same man appeared, reaching out his hand. She took it without thinking. As they neared her home, he said just one thing: "Someone like you gets hurt easily." Back in the present, Olive stirred slightly. Palmer asked gently, "Did you see his face clearly?" Olive whispered, "No, his face was like mist, but his eyes were sharp, so clear." Palmer said quietly,
"Look into those eyes again. Just the eyes. Let yourself feel."
Inside the meditation, Olive turned inward, not with her body, but with her heart. She faced those eyes, dark, but hauntingly familiar. Her chest tightened. A flash surged up, a face, a presence.
Travis,
her neighbor in this life. Not a full image, just a feeling, undeniable, spreading like ink in water. Olive opened her eyes, cold sweat on her brow, not in panic, just silence, the kind that follows a long-forgotten song returning to memory. It was him, she whispered. Palmer didn't question. He nodded. Your body remembered before your mind did. That's how memory works. Olive looked at her hands. They trembled, not from fear, but from truth. I never thought he'd follow me, From that life, Palmer took her hand, held it firmly, and this time, you're not the girl who runs. You're the one who looks into his eyes and takes back what was lost. That night, Olive wrote in her journal, I was Elia, and I couldn't look him in the eye. But today I did, and now I know I'm no longer alone.
After the deep meditation, Olive grew quiet for days, not out of fear, but because something inside her was melting. Fragmented memories drifted in, disordered, like drawers thrown open in a storm. Palmer didn't push. He waited. Until one twilight evening, just as the last light slipped through the trees, Olive said, I'm ready. This time, Palmer didn't touch her. He simply sat nearby, holding space. With presence, Olive stepped back into Elia's body. But now, she wasn't just watching. She was Elia. She felt the breath, the heartbeat, the cold, the fear. Elia's mother was sick. Medicine was gone. The only healer in the region had left. So she went deeper into the forest, searching for sacred herbs. On the way back, the rain came. She slipped, fell. Mud clung to her skin. Darkness surrounded her. And then, he appeared. Tovik, drenched, carrying wood. His face, different. Less cold. More unsure. What are you doing here? He asked. My mother is ill, Elia replied. I went to get herbs. He sat beside her, eyes uncertain, as if he wanted to say something. But instead, he reached for her face. Elia pulled back, but slipped. Her hand caught his shirt, and they both fell. Mud, rain, two hearts pounding, and Tovik. He didn't stop. Elia struggled. She screamed. She cried. She fought. And in her most desperate moment, she screamed something. Not in her language, but in something ancient. A voice that wasn't just hers.
May all who violate the innocent carry their darkness until the end of time.
Thunder cracked. Rain poured harder. Tovik ran. Said nothing. Elia lay still in the mud, eyes wide, numb. The memory faded. Olive returned, her whole body trembling. Palmer moved closer, not touching, just grounding. Olive whispered, I spoke a curse. Palmer looked into her eyes. And you were not wrong. Olive cried, not from pain, but from remembrance. She no longer had to guess why she felt broken in this life. She had seen the root. Palmer said gently, that curse wasn't vengeance. It was a cry, so the universe wouldn't look away. That night, Olive wrote, I no longer hate myself for once being weak. I fought with words, but now I know real strength is to forgive without forgetting.
Palmer didn't say much that night. Only one line, slow, steady. Some things can only be heard from soul to soul. That night, Olive went deeper than ever. There were no images, no faces, no memories, only a space, neutral, colorless, formless, a place between worlds. From the mist, a figure emerged. No shape, no name, no shadows, just presence. Olive whispered, "Is it you?" Her voice was no longer that of a schoolteacher. It was the voice of a soul that had walked lifetimes. The figure replied, not with words, but with vibration. Deep, slow, raw. "I don't remember my name anymore, but I remember you. I remember your eyes when you were afraid." Olive did not flinch. She did not judge. She stood still. As Palmer once said, Reiki does not interfere. Reiki is presence. She asked, "Why?" And the figure answered, "Because you were too pure. Because I didn't understand light, only that it made me feel empty." Her heart softened, but she didn't step back. "You hurt me," she said, "and I curse you." The figure trembled, not with threat, but with shame. I had never been loved. I didn't know how to hold someone with reverence. I thought to possess was to not be left behind. Olive closed her eyes. "Your soul is still young, and mine was too." And then a light emerged from her, small, subtle, without judgment, just understanding. "Do you still carry that darkness?" she asked. The figure responded, "I've wandered who knows how long, but I've always felt cold. And your scream that night still echoes in me like a crack." Silence filled the space, and an Olive spoke. "A crack can be a window if you let the light in." She stepped forward, not with body, with soul, and for the first time, she touched the shadow of Tovik, not to punish, not to avenge, but to be understood, and to help him understand. I don't forgive the act, but I don't hold hatred anymore. I've walked out. You can too. The figure began to fade, not disappear, just soften. I don't ask for anything, but if you have light left over, I'd like to learn how to keep it. Olive smiled. The smile of someone who was once a victim, now holding the gate back in her body. Palmer still sat, hand near his heart, eyes closed, breathing steady. Olive whispered, "I think he's ready, not for forgiveness, but for light." Palmer opened his eyes, met hers, and simply said, "Then let's begin."
Palmer rolled out the Reiki mat. In a room bathed in golden morning light, sandalwood lingered in the air. Soft waves echoed like whispers from the ocean. The day felt sacred. Olive lay still, not as someone bracing for pain, but as one inviting light into a place that had slept for lifetimes. Palmer said nothing. He simply sat beside her, hands open, gently touching the earth, allowing Reiki to flow without direction. The light came, warm, golden, gentle as spring water, flowing into every cell, every hidden corner, every folded shadow inside her soul. And then, she saw her, Elia, sitting by the old village well, hair tied back, eyes deep as still water. But this time, she was smiling. On the other side, a figure approached, not as a threat, not as a man, but as light. Tovik. His form no longer heavy or dark, just a stream of quiet energy. Softened. They faced each other. No words, just recognition. And then, they stepped forward, together, toward the light, like two specks of dust, falling gently into the great sky. Olive opened her eyes. Stillness, softness, peace. She sat up. Palmer was still there, steady, present, full of love. She moved to him, knelt before him, and placed her hand over his heart. "You know," she whispered, "when I was Elia, I believed no one could ever reach the deepest wound in me." Palmer didn't speak. He simply held her hand, eyes quiet, like meditation. Olive smiled, eyes glistening. "But you never tried to reach it. You just sat beside it. You didn't rush me, didn't push. You were just there. And maybe that's why I found my way back." Palmer whispered, "No one can heal another. But when we love someone in silence, they begin to heal themselves." Olive rested her head on his shoulder, her voice light as wind in a meadow. "I don't know who I'll be in the next life, but if I get to choose, I'd still want to meet you, even if you're just the one holding light by the roadside." Palmer gently embraced her. "And I will still be sitting there." The wind blew through the room. A ribbon of sunlight crossed the floor. And once again, no words were spoken, because in that moment, every soul within them had returned home. To you, the one I've never met, yet somehow, you feel familiar. I don't know where you are in your journey. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're trying so hard to stay strong. Or maybe you're standing at that fragile edge between "I'm fine" and "I'm about to break." I've been there too. I was once a girl, afraid to meet her own eyes in the mirror. I once believed that if I was hurt, maybe I deserved it. I used to split myself into pieces, just to keep going. And then, I found the light. Not some brilliant beam from the sky. Not fireworks. Not miracles. Just a quiet, patient warmth. A light called Reiki. Reiki didn't heal me in one day. It didn't promise me answers. It didn't tell me to be positive. It just showed up, breath by breath, touch by gentle touch, moment by moment, until one day, I was ready to meet myself again, to meet Elia, the one I had been, to meet Tovik, the one who hurt me, to meet the fear, and then, the forgiveness. I learned to love myself, not because I became perfect, but because I was still here, after everything. And the person who walked beside me, his name is Palmer. He didn't try to fix me. He didn't pull me forward. He just sat beside me, held space, stayed when I trembled the most. And maybe that's all we really need. Not someone to save us, just someone to sit beside the light and wait for us to come back. So if you're needing that light now, I want you to know it's still here, in your breath, in a kind touch, in a letter whispered, like this one. I believe in you, even if you can't believe in yourself yet. Because if I could return, then so can you. With love, Olive, the one who once broke and has healed.